Caleb, it is such an honor to have this time with you, and I'm just thrilled that you're going to share your heart in our Learn to Listen series. So thank you.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Well, I know that there's just a long just bio that you have, and I can share things about working with you personally at Belhaven University, also knowing about your career at Houston Ballet and tenure in other locations as an instructor, teacher, educator. But why don't you share a bit about where you are now, what you're doing, and then we'll jump into some questions.
Okay, sure. Well, I'm in 2018. I moved from Santa Monica College. I got a job to be an assistant professor here at Florida State University in Tallahassee. In short, it's a Research One institution, and so I have been hired here to teach, be an assistant professor of ballet. So I teach ballet here, as well as music choreography, which is another composition class for the BFA second years, mainly the sophomores. I co-teach that with Douglas Corbin, who is a famous piano accompaniment for ballet and for modern dance. I also teach partnering techniques or contemporary partnering as well here, as well as your many levels of classical ballet classes. I'm on different committees, such as the assessment committee, which is a committee devoted to the student health and wellness, as well as I've served on the audition committee as well, which is a part very devoted to recruitment and gathering a cohort of prospective students here, both in the MFA, BFA, MA degree programs. I also am on the ballet faculty here, and I'm also on a travel committee here, which is basically a committee devoted to ensuring students for research travel. And so I'm on a committee that basically votes for other students to get money to travel. And you know, also I'm doing a lot of traveling and teaching myself outside of my responsibilities as an assistant professor here.
Excellent.
So that's what I'm doing.
Wow, that's so wonderful. Well, can you just share a little bit about just your background as a dancer, growing up in the studio, and then your early professional career?
Okay. All right. I'll keep it as short as possible. So I started seriously training in ballet when I was 16 years old. How I got involved with it is that my mom started ballet when she was pregnant with me. I went on from there to at 8 years old. About 8 years old, I started seriously training as a gymnast. From when I was 8 till I was 16, but during my time as a gymnast, I would take maybe a class a month or class every 2 months to help with my gymnastics. And so my mom was an influence in regards to just the dance aesthetic already. And she was always the one that was transmitting or transferring, not transmitting, but transferring the materials and strategies that she learned as a ballet dancer, such as pronation, rolling feet, and how to point your feet, how to stretch behind the back of your legs. So she would kind of nudge me during my time as a gymnast to help me to be able to win. But I think my family has always been involved with music and movement, particularly my father. And particularly being in Detroit, where music and dance go hand in hand, especially with the whole influence with Motown and techno. And people from Detroit are movers anyway. But anyway, to make a long story short, I started seriously training as a dancer when I was 16, after I won a silver medal at the Junior Olympic Nationals for gymnastics. Then I trained 2 years under a lady by the name of Rosemary Floyd in Royal Oak, Michigan. That was one of my mom's teachers and mentors. And then I went on to going to Friends University under Stan Rogers and Stan and Sharon Rogers. My mom wanted me to be very much integrated, not only into dance, but my family, my father too, wanted me to also definitely be integrated into the kingdom, while I was dancing. And so they felt that, being under a Christian instructor, Christian professors such as Stan Rogers and Sharon Rogers was a best fit for me. So I went to Friends University in Wichita, Kansas for 1 semester. After that, the Lord led me in a different path to go and study at Grand Rapids Bible College in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Cornerstone Bible College in Grand Rapids, Michigan, where I got a chance to study with the Grand Rapids Ballet for a semester. And then after that, I got a scholarship to the University of Arizona. I was there for 3 years. Graduated from there, and the Lord moved me to Houston, Texas, where I danced with Houston Ballet professionally for 9 years. After my 9th season with Houston Ballet, I felt that I was encouraged to go get more paper. And so I received a fellowship and a scholarship to the University of California, Irvine, to continue on my dance studies and entered their master's degree program. I got my master's after 2 years, and then I started with Belhaven University as my first professorship job. I was there for 7 years. Wanted to get a chance to expand my network and experience a little bit of being a Californian. So I had an opportunity to serve as an associate professor at Santa Monica College in Santa Monica, California. And then after that, the Lord took me out of that and gave me a position here at Florida State University. So that's my background in short. I've been here, this is my 2nd year here, and I'm loving being at the school.
That's excellent. That's so wonderful. Thank you for taking the time to break that down, because I know that there's going to be people wondering about you and your story. Yeah. So thank you. With this Learn to Listen series, we're really opening it up with this first understanding of, cultivating this. I believe it's a discipline for us to learn to listen to the voice of God. So what are ways you feel like and believe and God is really nudging you and speaking to you? How have you cultivated that in your life?
Learning to listen. I can keep this answer very short, but it's so profound for me and just so real for me. I'm a people person, and I love to be around people and culture and food and everything in between. And so I think learning to listen, if you want to be a part of people's lives, and if you want people to experience what also you have to be able to offer and to share, and to also feel the love of God. I think, being around people teaches you how to listen. And so, and being a part of people's culture teaches you how to listen and how to observe. And so that has been something that has been an incentive of learning how to listen. Because I like to be a part of, I love to integrate, and I love to be a part of people's lives. And I like to be able to sow in and to disciple people. And so being around other people and other cultures, I mean, you learn in that process of just how to, they teach you how to listen. So that's basically it.
That's wonderful. Yeah. And I do believe that heart of people can relay the heart of God.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Very, very much.
How do you feel like in your church community? Do you feel that that's relational? I know that you always get, when you move and you connect with a local church, there's something about just that pastoral leadership. You're so faithful to always connect in and plug into a small group. I just admire that about you.
Yeah, absolutely. So in church, so you know that I love food. So we have a thing called life group directly after church. And so in our life group, basically, it's a group of people that basically plan a meal or have a meal. And then what we do is we talk about the service after the meal is served. So that's a huge incentive, and especially when you're around a meal, you really get it when you break bread with other people. You know as well if that's a time where people for some reason, I don't know, food always brings people together. So that's a huge incentive right there. But also the message, both of my pastors, every single time that they teach, there's always food for thought. And so it's just those two things. It's the message of the service, but also the incentive of this life group that we have afterwards of breaking bread and getting a chance to know all these people and be able to share with them. Those are the incentives for those things, for that.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
And I commend you for making those connections with other people, because sometimes as artists, we can feel isolated at times.
Yeah.
And that you make such an intentional, purposeful way of connecting with others. So that's really wonderful.
Yeah.
With another area of communicating with others and dance leaders, that there's really important values that we should hold onto and qualities that we should develop. What do you believe are some of those important skills that people could develop as leaders?
Two of them, and there's not much to say. And I still use the word that you share all the time when I was at Belhaven: being proactive and communication. Those are the two most important skills. Learning how to do both of those effectively. It's been a huge need. It's been a huge need, especially for pastors. You look at certain people in leadership, or how leadership is done, and you see that those things are lacking, and you just go, the ship is gonna fall. The ship is gonna fall. But when you are proactive at communicating and you're proactive at being proactive, those things, they help make a successful leader. And the ways to develop those skills is I believe just I think being around people that motivate you to do those things. I think being around people that motivate you, to be proactive and to be able to communicate effectively. Those are that's how to be able to develop those things. That's one thing that Belhaven has really taught me, is to be proactive and learning how to do that. So I'm so thankful for my experiences there and learning from you.
Yeah. Do you feel like you're a list maker? Do you feel like, how do you do it? Because I've seen you in countless meetings, you scribble down the notes and you make sure that that gets from here to there. What are ways you do it?
I use my phone calendar a lot. Like, I remember when I first get the phone, I would kind of negate and I would just write things down. But now it's like, you get that phone, you open that phone, and immediately when there's an event going on, you put that event in there, you make sure you hit save. And then, especially that's in regards to remembering events and stuff. But in regards to proactivity, I think I've always been the one to be proactive, but even more so here. I have, like I said, I was sharing you before, I have a document that is probably going to be about 40 or 50 pages. And it's a very important document on my teaching, my research, and my service here in the department. So from what I hear, I haven't experienced it yet, but from what I hear, it's a pretty important gig. Like, you want to make sure that paper is pristine. And knowing that I'm not the most incredible writer, I find it's good to be proactive to go ahead and start, even if it's just a paragraph a day. And so I've been doing that for the past, I want to say 25 days, a paragraph a day, just a little at a time. It goes a long way. And by the time you all of a sudden look up, your 6-page thing is done, you know? I mean, you have to go back and edit. And so that's what I'm in the process of doing now. But yeah, being proactive is so important. Yeah.
Well, it's applicable. What you're saying is something that's task driven. But when we compare that to dance, there's our students that come in and we want to already arrive. We want it already to be downloaded and to have achieved whatever it is that we're aiming to do. And so sometimes it takes time.
Yeah, it does.
It's a discipline.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. Absolutely, it does. And, you know, and especially, you know, with students too, you know, you teach them how to be proactive as well, but, you know, working with students, especially here, these people come from so many different backgrounds, and they're carrying on a full load too. Most of our dance majors, they're doubled. And so they're taking on a whole bunch of units, and they have to keep their grades up. I mean, to get into Florida State, you have to have, from what I'm hearing, no less than a 4.0 to even be admitted into the program or into the school. And so that, you know, and they're double majoring. And so you have to be able to also help them, or just help yourself, just be able to create a balance, you know, with them and have more of an understanding, but you still have to be proactive in saying exactly what you want and what your expectations are for the class.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, our lives keep getting busier and busier.
Yeah, they do. They do. They really do. But yeah.
So what are you seeing? Because I know you've just had an international tour this summer, and I know you love to travel, and it's so evident that you love people.
Yeah.
And you love ballet, but you love the arts as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How are you sensing, feeling? What are you experiencing, witnessing as far as the arts in general, some of the trends, but in particular as a believer artist, how do you believe God is moving in and through the arts today in any kind of way that, you know, that you're attentive towards?
God, you know, this is what I feel. I feel that, you know, I feel that, especially with the whole thing with what just recently happened with Kanye. He's an artist. I think that all things are possible. Just when you think that you've basically and this is for anyone, just when you think that you basically figured out somebody's lifestyle and what they're doing, all of a sudden God just fools you, and he brings these people out of what they're doing and just shows to them that, you know, I've given you the gift to do this, to do what you're doing, and I want you to be able to be a testimony and to share. And I feel like this is how I feel. So I'm going with that, and it's kind of the same topic, but different scenario. I think it's important for Christian leaders, and I hope this is the question that you're asking. I think it's important that now, especially when we know of people that come from so many different backgrounds, people have always been going through things. But now that we know, because it's more vocal about it in the internet and the media and television, people are just hurting, and they've go through so many different backgrounds. And so other Christians want to reach out and want to help them. And I think that shouldn't stop just in the Christian venue for dance. I believe that we need to think again about making whatever institution that you have, Christian institution that you have, or faith-based institution that you have, I think giving a rethink of being a ministry inside of a ministry, where these people can experience the love of God finally for the first time in their lives, I think is very important. And so, I mean, you're talking about, you know, I mean, I was just talking about with Kanye, you know, there had to be somebody to be able to reach out to him, to pull him, to show him a different way and approach with life and who to run to. So I guess maybe what I'm saying is that for leaders, for where dance is going, I feel that dance in the arts and in being a Christian, I think that there are still boundaries, but I feel that leaders, Christian dancers should be open to be able to embrace the marketplace more. Part of being a Christian is being a person who is a disciple of Christ. And a disciple usually is a person that, you know, shares about Christ's love. And so I hope I'm answering your question. That's where I see where the arts is going to today in Christ.
Sure. No, and that's beautiful. I mean, I appreciate your articulation
Mm-hmm.
of it. How do you feel like you are doing that? I know that you have opportunity as a teacher.
Yes.
You're at a secular marketplace institution.
Mm-hmm.
So there's things that we can say and things that we can't say.
Yes.
But there
absolutely.
is a spirit in which you can do it.
Absolutely.
Can you share a little bit about how you feel like knowing that it's no longer Christ, you know, no longer that you who live, but Christ who lives within you, and how
Right.
you have that beacon of light shining through you? How are practical ways you get the opportunity through being an artist and a man and a person of faith to do that?
Investment and passion. I think all of the students know how invested I am and how passionate I am about my art form. That's just in short. And that can be in everything. You know, it's very rare. I feel that, and I'm not saying I'm a goody-goody, but you know, I still, you know, live up to the tradition of going up to the students and say, hey, come by my office and let's talk about some things soon. And it could be about being proactive and getting to them thinking about what they're going to be doing when they leave. And mentoring, you know, I'm very proactive with that. And I feel that those are God-given passions. And in that time, in that process, when I'm sharing with them, I think that that's how, that there's definitely a care there, you know, that the students can see, and the students can feel that passion about me wanting them to do well and do right, you know. So I hope that answers your question too.
Yeah, that's great. And that's something that I remember about working with you during those 7 years.
Right.
How many of our students you were the conduit to make that connection when they walked across the graduation stage to a professional career. There was just countless students, and it didn't happen the day that they walked across the stage. You were so invested in their lives, helping them to cultivate that relationship. But another part of that was helping them to trust themselves, believe in themselves, to be daring, to dream, to go beyond what they had already set limits that they thought that they were only going to do.
Right, precisely.
All of those things are such godly ways to be in relationships. I mean, we are inspired by the most inspirational one of all. God always has that heart for us.
Right.
Has, as you showed me on that, you know, beautiful coaster, that he has plans for us, and that you are that conduit and that voice to help other people to understand that when they don't believe it themselves.
Yeah, and you know, also too, you know, I at least that's definitely what I try, and that's not just trying. I feel that that's natural for me, but I think, you know, encouragement for them. I don't know if they experience much encouragement. And, you know, I'm usually the one, you know, if someone is doing something well in class, and I usually the one that's like, good, that's fantastic. I'll go there and I'll give them a high five. I mean, so there's also a, tick, 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 but there's also a time where I feel that I am very proactive in encouraging them too. Those things are, I think that those things are ways that I can be able to share my faith in a way that is not that people are willing, open to hear. I feel that the Lord is going to be doing something different. I don't know if I told you before, is Pastor Ron wants me to think about starting a dance ministry. And so one of the ways, one of the things that in the paper that I'm going to be writing, they want to see, how am I integrating into the culture of the institution? How am I being able to spread the word or go out into the community? And so I do know that there are some Christians that are involved in FSU, some students. And so I don't know how the conversation is going to go, but it would be great if some of the FSU students can become more involved in doing some dance ministry, some church dance ministry. So I'm praying about that conversation to happen in the future. And so there will be an investment, you know, if the Lord opens up the door for that, you know, there's obviously going to be an investment in that too.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, I've appreciated knowing you through these years and knowing your heart as a believer artist. And you're just, for me, one of those wonderful examples of breaking the confines of, we think sometimes, or we're trained as a Christian dancer or artist that our only outlet is to go into a Christian dance ministry or to do something within the church or something in that realm. And
Mm-hmm.
so knowing that he calls us to be the salt and calls us to be the light, and that you take that on, you welcome that. And thank you for being one of those servant artist leaders who are out there doing this work and doing this job. I'm just so appreciative.
No, thank you.
Yeah, of the labor. I'd love to hear anything in closing, if there's any other just comments, ideas, thoughts, versus just anything that comes to heart that you would like to share as we come to a close.
I like getting back to the question in regards to where do you think, you know, art is going to today. I mean, and this is more of a technical thing. It's good to see a lot of contemporary ballet coming back, and it'll be interesting to see more contemporary ballet institutions, Christian institutions, coming back. And it's going to be interesting to see what they're going to do with it. So that's just a thought I just want to put out there, you know, and how they're going to be able, because, you know, there's you know, of course, with a highly classical programming like Ballet Magnificat, you know, especially in the past, you know, with being the traditional, you know, classical, and they do some contemporary stuff too. But with Ballet 5/8 coming out, you know, they recognize themselves as they train classical ballet, you know, but most of their repertoire is like contemporary, you know, contemporary with in point shoes. So yeah, just to reiterate, that's going to be interesting how God's going to take that aesthetic of post-neoclassicism and neoclassicism and make it into something that has a loud voice. You see it more in modern dance. It's been, you know, around for a long time, and also improvisation. But no, it'll be interesting to see how that comes out, how neoclassic and post-neoclassic ballet in a Christian or faith-based institutions, how that's all of a sudden going to explode to many different institutions. So that's one thing I want to put out there. The other thing is, just like what you shared about before, for I know the plans I have for you in Jeremiah 29:11. I think that scripture for me every single time I get up in the morning is, I put my cup on that coaster that says that verse. It's just a reminder that God is amazing. He's mysterious. And it's like, okay, so what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? And it's all been great. And so what I'm trying to say is literally Proverbs 3:5, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not to your own understanding, and always acknowledge him and he will direct your path. So that's all I have to say.
That's the essence of it. It's just faith and trust. And especially as a creative entity and a creative art form of dance and the other arts, when we always predict and prescribe the outcome before we've taken the creative process to get there, then you get to a particular end result. But if you have faith in the creative process along the journey, if you have faith in our life process along the journey, then it's just what you were articulating. God is going to be sovereign. He's going to be faithful. He does have plans, and we just have to trust and obey.
Yeah, trust and obey. Absolutely. And I say God a lot, but I mean in God's love, but also Jesus is so real too. The Lord is so real. His Holy Spirit is so real too, and I mean, people can use God in such a broader sense, but even more specific. I mean, Jesus, his love, his Holy Spirit, Christ, recognizing that he's the redeemer of your life. And if you're in his path and if he's growing you, I mean, he's going to correct you. He's going to love you. He's going to correct you. But he's also going to push you 100%. He knows how much you're going to take, that you can take. He knows the trends that you can set. He knows how loudly he can speak through you. And so my encouragement is allow him to do all those things. Because sometimes you just don't have a choice. But yeah.
Yeah, that's so great. Oh, such good words.
Yeah.
Wow, wonderful. Yeah, these are some good nuggets to chew on, Caleb.
Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you for receiving it.
Yeah. Well, if people would like to be able to follow you or connect in with you, anyway, is it best to do that via Facebook or Instagram, or what's the best way? And I can put that as well.
Sure. I don't have Instagram. I am like, it's not like I'm not for Instagram, but I just don't know how to really use it. And so I am so basic. Facebook is it, or also, my email, my FSU email, which is cmitchell5 with 2 L's, all right, at fsu.edu. That's one way. Or Facebook. Facebook, my notifications get clouded. Like it gets, so I would prefer please email me.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, I'll make sure I put that link on at the bottom here.
Right.
Well, I love you, and I'm so appreciative of your time, the impact that you're making, and I'm just excited for what continues to come. I know there's more and more and more yet to come.
There's more. I've just applied for another grant to, Lord willing, for me to go to Europe again and study for a month. I'll be doing some research on post-neoclassical dance, and that is my research here. I'll in hopes to be able to bring an innovations in classical ballet curriculum here to Florida State one day.
Excellent. Great.
And so I'll be watching some choreography and also doing maybe a little bit of workshopping while I'm in Europe as well. in the post-neoclassic style. I'm going to be, my proposal is to go to Germany and to watch some performances of David Dawson. I just saw some performances last summer that were highly, just so inspiring. And so I wanted to do that again. And so that's Lord willing, you know, that the door opens, that he'll allow me to go.
Excellent.
No,
Well, let's
great.
keep in touch about that, because I'm taking Feet Speak Dance back to Europe in May. So we can.
Oh yeah, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
We can
All
talk
right.
about
My first stop would be Germany.
that. Okay. Ours second stop, Berlin, probably. So.
Okay. I won't be hitting Berlin this year. In my grant, I put Dresden, Karlsruhe, and Dusseldorf.
Okay.
But who knows?
Yeah. Well, we'll pray for that. We'll pray for that to go through.
Thank you very much, Cynthia.
Yeah. Thank you, my friend. I love you. Appreciate
Love you too. Thank you very much. Okay. Bye-bye.